Hello, Gurus. Welcome back to another Alpha's experiment session. This is my first video in 2022. Happy to share my experience with Rustlang. I was spending some time for the last 3 weeks to learn Rust, and I was trying to convert my Golang offensive series to Rust. As a part of that, I tried to develop a reversal agent and controller using Rust. I tried to convert my Golang reversal and controller into this one. But believe me, it was a big, tedious task, in fact. I didn't expect that because I already had experience in C Sharp and Go, and it was Go and Blang were the languages that was pretty easy for me. Even when I tried to learn Nimlang, it was pretty straightforward to learn it and implement it. But for Rust, it was for the last 3 weeks, I did touch only the basics in Rust. And even the language itself has a lot of stuff to learn. Compared to other languages, the concepts that Rust has handling its own ways. So when you try to dig deeper into that, now you will come to know that you within 3 weeks you didn't learn much. You have to learn much more for doing that. Let me take you to the code and I will show you how it works. There are some stuff that really attracted me, mainly the cross-compilation option that Rust gives. Apart from that, if you ask me, the TCP stream handling was pretty difficult compared to Golang and C Sharp I did previously. Uh, some of the functions didn't work well. I don't know whether it's a problem of my limitation of using the language or the implementation issues. Maybe the version that I'm using Rust. I don't know. I'm using the latest version, but still some of the functions didn't work for me. I'll share my experience on that. Uh, I'll show you the basic codes that I have developed. This is a agent code, and in agent, this agent at runtime it checks for whether it's running on Windows or Linux. And based on that it enables the shells. If it's in Windows, it's going to be CMD, and if it's going to be in Linux or any other Unix style Unix style operating system, it's going to be bin sh. And it is pretty easy to implement that. Just there's a macro for that. It's CFG. And the other interesting stuff is that there are macros that's very helpful for accessing some of the functions like printing. It has print macro, and just like for checking the operating system, it has CFG macro, and some other stuff that is Rust has compared to other languages and that didn't have is this one loop. I didn't see this loop in Golang or C Sharp or even B1 nim. I don't remember nim whether it had or not. But for other languages, I learned I didn't see this loop. It's an infinite loop structure, so you can put your code here and you can conditionally break from that whenever some condition meets. So other stuff that mm actually this is basically the same stuff that I did in Golang. I just tried to convert uh, this to Rust. That's all. It works the same way that the previous reversals were working. It tries to communicate to your controller machine because you have specified the IP and port to communicate with. And uh, we are dealing with the buffer and TCP stream. And in Rust lang is not the direct TCP stream access. We have to, for effective use of TCP stream reading, it's recommended way. I have referred different documents, and it says it's good to read to the buffer reader, then uh, process your bytes from this TCP stream from there. So what I'm doing here is I'm creating a buffer reader, and giving my server stream as a reference, and then I'm reading using that reader. Then I'm reading read until. This read until is a function that accepts, actually, that reads till the end of the till a delimiter that you are specifying, whether it's going to be a new line or something else, or it's going to be till the end of the buffer. So it reads till there. So whenever it sees slash n, it stops reading from the buffer and assigning the value to the underlying uh, buffer that we have specified here. Here, the buffer I'm using is vector byte array, vector byte. Vector is a kind of list kind of structure in Rustlang. Basically, it's nothing but uh, consecutive sequences of places by kind of byte array that other languages offers. But here it's called vector. Even Rust has its own array concept, but vector is a kind of list, but it's not the list that C# offers. In C# list, it's a generic type list where we can perform different options. But here in this one, push and pop options were there. Only those options were there on the list, on the vector. I'm not going deeper into the language stuff. And one other stuff that you have to notice is every variable that you are declaring in Rust lang is mutable, immutable. If you want to make it mutable, you have to use the keyword mute in front of variable. Then you can change the values whenever you want. Otherwise, by default, it will be immutable. So if you try to change, declare a variable and assign a value at the declaration time, and after that, if after some time, in some point, if you want to change the variable value, you will never be able to do that. And compiler always comes up with errors. And these are some weird steps. I was a bit surprised on these steps, like converting byte array to string. For C# and Golang, it was quite straightforward and it's more readable for me. Maybe because of my less experience on Rustlang. It was a completely alien place for me. These are the stuffs that Rust has its own implementation style. Like you can assign a variable value using an expression with a condition. Here, this command variable will get a value after processing this command output based on a condition. So here it's doing everything like if it's a Windows, it takes a my command, it takes a controller command, and the controller command will be coming here, and I'm supplying that as an input. If you ask me how did I get here, I did spend a lot of time on this one because of some conversion errors. Like if you check, you may feel that this is a normal string on the argument. But unfortunately, there's a difference between a normal string and there's other stuff called uh, the type as rough OSSTR. Um, that is something I don't know. I don't know how to explain that now. Yeah, definitely I'll try to learn more about those kind of stuffs, and maybe in later time when creating more videos on offensive REST, I'll teach you how these things are differ. But for the sake of the code stuff that I can say is just a string that accepts uh, command. This string holds a command that's coming from the controller, and we are supplying here. Just like that for Linux or any Unix family machines. Yeah, it's going to take bin sh and going to execute the command. And this the way of using external libraries in Rust is equivalent to import in Golang, or the same? I mean, use is the same thing, that's something similar to C sharp. So basically, this is not going to. I mean, here I don't know, in agent it was fine. What I'm doing is I'm just taking taking the output of the command and completely writing the bytes. What all comes as a result, I'm completely writing that bytes to back to the server stream or the corresponding reader. Uh, like as an example, like it's not some example, but here what I'm doing is I'm just taking the output of this command that the user, the controller is sending to this agent, and I'm writing the entire command output as bytes back to the server stream. So the controller will get the result of the command. Uh, this is a code for the agent. Let me show you the code for the controller. Controller. The There are some interesting stuff in this one. Like in other languages, we have to create infinite loop. In Go, actually, it was a separate infinite loop we have to create when iterating. I mean, just listening on your to handle your agents. But here, instead of that, it's more clear here. Like the controller incoming, it will listen for all the incoming connections. So it will be it's more easier to read it and understand it, what's exactly going to happen. And this is another interesting stuff in Rustlang. It's called the match keyword. Uh, and I'm not going to explain what exactly is going to happen here, but here it has an error situation and an OK situation. Okay, if there's an error, it goes here in this error session and it's going to say that it's failed. And if it's an OK condition, suppose if it's a working condition, then it says the number of bytes it's received from. I mean, received connection from where, like which IP yeah, this connection is coming from. After printing that, it goes to handle agent. Here, there is another way of using it, like you can implicitly implement a separate thread for handling the agent. But believe me, threading in Rustlang is really really worse compared to Golang. Golang, it was pretty easy to create a different thread to do the stuff, and you had the option to easy way of communicating between threads using channels and wait groups. It was pretty straightforward and easy, but here the syntax was pretty ugly, if you ask me. But yeah, it's maybe it's a way of uh, doing stuff in Rust. But anyway, I'm learning this language, so maybe going forward, I'll be more familiar with the syntaxes and other stuff. So it will be, I may also love this way of doing Rust way. So in handling agent, the other challenge for me was after the input, after actually here is the area that the controller allows us to input a command, and that will be sent to the agent. This was fine, and we are just this is a more just a prompt before I mean typing the command, and we are writing that command to the connected agent, and here is the tricky part. I tried different options here. Actually, this one is providing the stream reader is providing read to end, read to string, and read until using some loop. I tried everything, nothing but worked. I don't know. According to their documentation, it says read string is pretty straightforward, and when I tried to use that with a normal string and under the underline buffer, nothing was happening. I don't know why. So here the ugly part I did was I mean the working part here was like it was working, the read was working perfectly with a predefined array. It was not working with a vector, an initialization vector that doesn't have any value. I don't know why and what the difference is, but both were like the same kind of byte array type. But here when I defined a predefined byte array with predefined size, it perfectly the read was working. The read was taking the value from uh, the result that we got to this array, and it was converting and printing to string. Basically, the basic concept is same as the one that I did in my Golang reversal, but doing it in the REST way was the toughest part for me. Here I'm just listening on 000. That means any port. I mean any interface. Port 403 will be ready to listen for incoming connection. Then on uh, this one, this is going to be I'm going to build this controller as a Linux binary, and I'm going to make this agent as a Windows binary. And yeah, the other best part of doing cross compilation was it was pretty straightforward and easy. I just put those commands for reference. I'll show you what I did before cross compilation. I had to rest up is a tool. Actually, it comes with a lot of tools. Like Rust C is the actual compiler, but you don't need most of the time if you're developing a professional project. You don't directly access the Rust C. Instead, you have the option to use another tool called Cargo. Cargo will help you to create projects and build your code uh, here. And the rest of is another tool that will help you to. I think it's a kind of package manager or something that help you to add most new stuffs and update stuffs connected to Rust. So for creating a binary for Windows, I had to add my this target to my Rust. What is the second? I think it's Rust collection or something. When I checked the package, this package was not there, so I had to add this target. Then I had to add another tool chain. Uh, this tool chain for building building the binary from the Linux that targets the Windows. So finally, this was a build command. So let me show you building that command. Mm, And this normally the command for building using cargo is cargo new and your project. Then there will be a new folder like your project name. Under your project name, you can move to that project name. Then when you check that project, you can see different folders and files here. Um, you just try to learn what are the files are. It's pretty straightforward, these steps. Then the cd folder will have the source code, and cd target will have different target. Normally, if we are not doing any cross compilation, only this debug folder will be there. Or if you are trying to build it on a release mode, there will be a release folder here. So here I'm going to build this into targeting this one. So the command, what was the command? Is it agent? Okay, yeah. This was the command. I'm going to execute this command. So if there is no error, this will make a file inside this x64 8664 PC Windows VNE folder. So cd to that folder. If you check, there's another debug folder there. You can see a rest.exe file here. So the build was success, and it was pretty straightforward to do a cross compilation in Rust. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy. Let me test this file. For that, I'm going to copy this Rust agent to my shared folder. Okay, now I'm going to build my Rust controller. For building the Rust controller, the command is just cargo build. And if you want to build it in release mode, you can add some, I think, hyphen release or something. But just for testing this one, I'm just going to make it on debug mode itself. So just build cargo build. This says it has some warnings. Yeah, I can. It says I can remove the mute keyword from the for loop. I don't know why did I put that. I was experimenting with the different options of getting that TCP stream and combining that with the buffer reader. Maybe I can remove the mute keyword from there. Okay, whatever it is. Now it is built, and let's check here. The rest controller is there. This one, it's build was successful. So I'm going to run this controller. So controller is running here. So now I'm going back to my Windows. Yeah, let the Defender, the protection on here, and copy the drive rest. S1.exe to desktop. Yeah, it is there. Let us run that. Try to find out what's going to happen. It's rested. Yeah, the Defender didn't block me. And my controller. Yeah, I received a connection from here. I can execute my commands from here now. Yeah, config. Yeah, everything is working perfectly. So the same thing you can try with instead of creating .exe, you can actually build for Linux target. If you want specifically target some Linux, you can specifically build for that target. Those are the attracting part I felt. I mean, it is somewhat like Go, but I don't know how long it's going to take for me to learn this and be just professional, just like I know Go. Go, if you ask me, Go, I didn't take much time to learn Go and started implementing stuff in Go. But for this one, straightforward, but in 3 weeks, I did learn the basics of this language. And before I developed this version. And the other thing is you can try with different options, like can try to make the controller in the as an exe and try the agent as Linux. Anyway, I tried everything and it was working perfectly. I just wanted to show this demo just to ensure that there's another way of developing reversals. I'm really fond of making these reversals nowadays. So that's all from my side for this video. I'll continue with the C sharp one. And so I was getting so much of messages to upload the source code to my GitHub. Definitely I'll do that. I'm preparing another tutorial for C sharp. So after doing that or while doing that, I will upload the entire solution to my GitHub. So please wait for that. And I personally thank everyone who supported me after subscriptions. And like it is my subscription is not too huge, but at least I can find out some guys are interested in programming, especially there are some guys in security are more interested in programming. Thanks for all those who subscribed and supported. And if you didn't subscribe, and if you like more programming stuff for sake, uh, support, you can show your support as a subscription. Yeah, then that's all from my side for this video. Thanks for watching.